you are going to miss out on a pick that could make you rich. All of a sudden to find my 2 Bitcoin of value being atomically swapped to 1 Bitcoin worth of value in this new coin pick. Dude, don't be a dumbass. Well, I'm not afraid to punch a bully in the nose because, you know, when I show up to a fight, I show up to win. And
building these huge, complicated machineries to try to synthesize privacy through willpower instead of through engineering, it's just the wrong choice.
Hey, Todd Lewis, I think I know the answer to this. Would you be open to actually having that exchange or debate with Mr. X and Raphael, or both together? Would you be open to that? Because I'm happy to try again to extend the invitation, because everything that you have shared thus far, it is mind-boggling to me why they keep hiding behind these papers that have been refuted.
I'm happy to talk about this stuff with anybody. Maybe I'll learn something from them.
Greetings. Welcome to Sunday's Epicenter Live with Uncle Vigilante, Max Freeman. And today we have a special guest, lead developer of Epic Cash, Todd Lewis. But before we get into that, I want to defer to someone that is sage in his wisdom right now and just get a little infomercial before we get started, because having an open mind and being able to drill down and peel back the layers of the onion and actually do your own work and not have preconceived notions about things, actually explore, debate, and discussion is really important. So let's talk about Ron Paul. Ron Paul says, speak up, speak often, and don't worry about those that at this point cannot understand, as they can never unhear what we will tell them. That was from Ron Paul. But better than that, that was parroted by, that's Raphael Blvd. He is the Crypto Vigilante. And if he says it, I believe it. So let's take him at his words. Speak up, speak often, and don't worry about those that at this point, actually, you know, Ron, it should say who at this point cannot understand, as they can never unhear what we tell them. So maybe that's what's going to happen today, because I invited Raph and a gentleman named Mr. X to a debate, because they have some issues with Epic Cash. They have issues with Mimblewimble, and I have tried to engage them. And all I get when I try to engage them is, let me share my screen again. This is what I get right there whenever I enter the words Epic Cash in the TCV debate. Now, this is Mr. X. Epic Cash uses Mimblewimble and is not anywhere near as private or fungible as Monero. Now, Todd Lewis, I know that you are the lead developer, and I just want to share before I go on, and I do want to give deference to Mr. X. But I want to let you know that anytime Epic Cash is entered into the TCV chat, there's a bot that pops this up. So for a year now, at least, basically, Mr. X's Echo has shut down any conversation on Epic Cash. Well, first of all, I do also want to make a point that I do not know Mr. X. Is it Mr. X? I don't know. I'm going to defer just because I do not want to offend anyone in their sensibilities, and I don't know if Mr. X is Mr. X. So I'm going to just call Mr. X. I know that guy. Mix X. This is when the glasses are put down. To me, the dead giveaway was the upside down Monero nose ring. So we're going to keep it classy here, guys. And it's not Mr. X. It's going to be Mix X. And I think that that's fair. Now, why are we here today? I'm going to give the uninitiated, I'm going to give those people who haven't caught up or may be watching this for the first time today, why I'm here. I'm new to crypto since January, and I dove headfirst into the shallow end to try to figure this ecosystem out because I thought it was an asset class that I needed to get familiar with because I think it's here to stay. So I started investing and learning back in January, and in March, I decided that, you know what, I think what I'm going to do is just make my journey public so that other newbies might benefit along with me. You can follow along with what I'm doing. I'll try to interview some really cool guests. I even had the Crypto Vigilante on my show as one of my very first interviews. And I was named Uncle Odd back then, and he christened me saying, "Oh, you're Uncle Vigilante." So it stuck. It's not my fault. I didn't lay claim to it. You gave it to me. So be careful what you wish for, because I am Uncle Vigilante. You can call me Uncle V. I kind of prefer that anyway. I've taken a deep dive into a lot of different projects, and I subscribe to the Crypto Vigilante. Now, what I learned recently is the Crypto Vigilante, they do this monthly pick, right? To where that's part of the service. You want to be part of the Crypto Vigilante because if you aren't, you are going to miss out on a pick that could make you rich. And so there was a pick that happened recently, and it was just crazy, guys. It was like I was all ready to go in and buy. And what happened was that I had 2 Bitcoins worth of value that then when I hit buy of this pick that they announced, and I tried to get in as quickly as possible because that's what they suggested I do. You just wait, I'll share a little bit about that. They suggested that I act first because those are the people who profit most. Right? So what the hell do I know? I'm not the expert. They are. They write the Crypto Vigilante. They write about these picks. I trust them. That's why I pay $700 for the right for them to tell me what to do. Now, so I went in, and when that pick was announced, I hit buy. All of a sudden to find my 2 Bitcoin of value being atomically swapped to 1 Bitcoin worth of value in this new coin pick. And I'm like, what in the hell just happened? I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know where that value went. Where the heck did that other 35 grand go? Because it's not 35 grand worth of this pick. And so I was just stymied. And I just bit my tongue. I didn't know. Shit, I'm a newbie. Maybe I'll figure it out later. Well, I started going into the TCV chat. And what do you know? Raphael, our dear leader himself, was just giving newbies shit, like literally mocking them, saying, because I wasn't the only one. There were others that were like, what the heck just happened? I went in and bought. And he's like, dude, don't be a dumbass. Read the report. Everybody knows you just don't march in and hit buy. You're going to get wrecked. The people who don't read get wrecked. And so I'm sitting there, and I saw enough of that I stepped in and I said, whoa. Now I've been so pro TCV and the Dollar Vigilante. I love Jeff. Those of you who follow me know that I refer to him as Jeff Berwick, our Lord and Savior of crypto, peace be upon him. You know, if it weren't for Raphael going in and just kicking some people who were hurt while they were down, I would have gone to my pillow that night and not said a word. But you know what? I step up for myself and I step up for others. You know, I've always been that way. I've always been one who I'm not afraid to punch a bully in the nose. You know, we were chummed up. And then, man, the attack dogs came out and everyone was like, hashtag ha, 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 hashtag you get what you deserve, read the report and all of that. So I made an appeal on YouTube, basically outlining everything as to why I was feeling like I felt. And boy, was that putting gas on the fire. So I decided, well, you know what? I'm a pretty smart guy. Let me go use your words. Let me use the forensics that were available to me. And it was really easy. It was the last 2 emails of Jeff Berwick. These are the words that were sent to the subscribers. Now you tell me, they have chummed the waters for 3 weeks. Jeff had talked about the millionaires that were made from getting in early on all of their picks. Yes, all the time. I'm not lying. You go look at all the videos. That's his shtick. You know, it creates this fear of missing out, right? He knows what he's doing. He's an expert, as do they all. And so the day before the pick, we get an email that says, we are not shy about making bold claims like no one in the crypto market has the crypto investing brain power that we do. Okay, guess what, Jeff? I believe you. Yeah, I believe you. He continues, our pick is going to be out on Monday. After that, you're going to be late to the party. So that means if you took the time and read the report and on Tuesday, you ended up making your decisions, that implies I'd be late for the party. Just saying, Jeff. Then on the day, I get another email. The day has arrived. Later today, the Crypto Vigilante will release its latest featured crypto asset report on an exclusive pick. By the way, it's a pick that they gave in February. On an exclusive pick that could yield epic gains similar to those seen in Pirate Chain over the last 8 months. The pick is being released today by noon or early afternoon, if not sooner. And like most good information, the people who act first will make the biggest profits. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't say the people who read first. I said, this is Jeff Berwick, who act first make the biggest profits. And then he continued, don't miss out on another pick that could even rival how well we did with Pirate Chain, which gained over 33,000%. Well, that was effective chumming because I know for a fact, because I observed it, that the TDV Telegram, by the TDV Telegram subscribers, which you can't be a TDV Telegram subscriber unless you are a Dollar Vigilante subscriber. Well, that went up 20% in the last week alone. So that is a whole pool of who? Of newbies. Was there ever a warning of, hey guys, the report's coming out. Here's what we suggest you do. Don't act first. Read first. Don't be those people who don't understand market dynamics and don't understand what happens when insiders know the pick. Well, heck, let me just share something with you. Let me share this. I think that this will make a lot of sense to you. Let's go down memory lane here, okay?
Any questions so far?
Just a quick observation. I mean, it's sad to see all these newbies buying high and selling low. And it reminds me of what Jeff Berwick tells us, you know, that without knowledge, you won't have conviction. And without conviction, you will make mistakes because you don't know, you don't believe in what you're buying or investing in.
Yeah, that was just a little walk down memory lane. So that catches you up, guys. I had interviewed Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash and epicentral.io, and just absolutely was pleasantly surprised about what I was learning, that Epic Cash is basically, it's Bitcoin HTTPS. Now, we've done videos already unpacking that, but part of the development of this amazing technology that has just innumerable use cases is the fact that they use Mimblewimble. Well, when I brought up Epic Cash, we of course got what I showed you. Let me share my screen. There we go. So we get it again. Epic Cash uses Mimblewimble and is not anywhere near as private or as fungible as Monero. So again, walking down memory lane, I'm going to share my screen. Use the search function. Yes, I posted about Litecash already, and it's a shitcoin running on flawed Mimblewimble protocol and weak privacy. I went into the search function. I see Epic. I put in Epic Cash, and we get things like this. I've already explained about how many of those diagrams are filled with lies. If you use the search function, you will see that I've also explained how Epic Cash and other Mimblewimble coins are inferior shit coins when compared to Monero and Pirate Chain. Says the entire Mimblewimble protocol is seriously flawed and it is not truly untraceable. Look at my research. Todd, why don't you introduce yourself? I'm going to stop sharing. I'm sorry it took that long to get through this, but I felt it was important to set the stage. But why don't you unpack Mimblewimble, this GitHub GRIN transaction data corresponding to research on transaction linkability, and explain it to us where even us newbies might be able to understand.
I'm Todd. I'm a developer. I was one of the original developers on Epic. And I am a Mimblewimble enthusiast. So my love of Mimblewimble is engineering driven, and it's really not complicated. And it goes like this: Mimblewimble posts transactions to the blockchain with a proof that the number of coins going into the transaction are equal to the number of coins going out of the transaction. It's a pretty simple cryptographic proof, as cryptographic proofs go, and it's a very simple machinery. And compared to that, you have compared to Mimblewimble, you have two other categories of solution. All right, one is just the traditional transparent blockchain where everybody can see everything. You can see all the quantities and what's going where. Non-privacy coins, right?
Would that be like Bitcoin?
Sure. Your older generation of coins, with all of the downsides that gives you for fungibility, because coins can be tainted. Coins are not the same. Coins can be traced. And then you have non-Mimblewimble privacy coins, which build these elaborate, intricate, very impressive Rube Goldberg contraptions to try to synthesize from lots of moving pieces the same basic privacy property that Mimblewimble gives you in one go. And so the reason to prefer Mimblewimble over the complicated privacy coins is just that it's simpler. It's much, much simpler. And none of the criticisms of Mimblewimble have ever said that the core cryptographic guarantee that Mimblewimble gives you, which is that you can prove the quantities going in are equal to the quantities going out, but you can't see what those quantities are. That has never even been criticized, right? What people criticized are implementation choices or details of how it's used. The core property of Mimblewimble is unassailable because it's very simple. It's been out there for years. It's never been successfully attacked. It's never been successfully criticized that I've ever seen. And so when people say, oh, we have these elaborate Rube Goldberg contraptions and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, and if I move the shells fast enough, you can't tell where the P is, with these really complicated approaches, I've been an engineer for 25 years. Show me a simple solution that we have every reason to believe works and compare it to a complicated solution, which is difficult to even analyze in the first place. I will always take the simple, good solution. And that's what Mimblewimble is.
Why don't we go through this, because this is MixX came back with this. Uncle Odd We already addressed the problems with Epic Trash and the other Mimblewimble coins in the articles that we've shared. Okay, I go and search for the articles. I found 3. I sent them all to you guys. But
The one I saw was the linkability.
Okay, the linkability. There were a couple others that Max, maybe you can speak to. The one where
those all of those reference back the same flawed article that we know these people have been sent the rebuttal multiple times from community members asking them to stop with this nonsense, and from us as well. So if you say, well, steps B through M are pointing to this thing being garbage, but you skip over the fact that point A is a lie, the whole thing falls apart. So let's unpack the Ivan Bogati article point by point and set that to rest, and then we can see exactly what type of edifice this criticism is resting atop.
Can I just take my Gallagher hammer to the watermelon of linkability first and splatter that one? So when people criticize Mimblewimble, and look, if I had 6 years of engineering effort sunk into a giant Rube Goldberg machine and someone came along with a simple mousetrap that made it obsolete, I might not like it either. It's not that I don't understand. But the Mimblewimble is a simple cryptographic technique that proves that the coins going in are equal to the coins going out without showing what the quantities are. That's it. That's what it does. That's all that it does. So criticizing—
How is that inferior then? How is that inferior to what these other ones do?
Well, and like, let's take the linkability criticism. Linkability is a criticism of the chain and of your choices in implementing Mimblewimble. It's not a criticism of Mimblewimble. And even more fundamentally, it's a criticism of distributed ledgers and cryptocurrencies, because maybe these guys are better engineers than I am, but my belief in and how a cryptocurrency works is people take transactions and they're bundled into blocks and they're posted publicly. That's true of every chain that I know of, including Monero and Zcash. They put a lot of obfuscation on top of it, but you still have to have some kind of consensus in the network to authorize the transaction or not. You have to be able to see the transactions in order to judge whether they should be allowed in the block or not. You have to verify the signatures. You have to update the ledger. So if they have some kind of magic where you don't need to post the transactions at all, then fantastic, but they don't. Instead, they put the P under the cup and they spin it around and they hide it in different ways and they play all these games and whatnot. And then what criticism do they have of Mimblewimble coins? Well, let's take linkability. The criticism is that you can look at the transaction graph on any of the Mimblewimble chains and see what the transactions are. That's totally true, because it's a blockchain. We post transactions and they're verified. Like, everyone checks the signature before they accept it into the chain. But you can't see the quantity of the inputs and you can't see the quantity of the outputs. So if you want to put the P under the cup and start moving it around and create a rich transaction graph to where no one knows where the money has gone, then there's nothing stopping you from doing that. In fact, it's so easy in a Mimblewimble coin that you can just do it. You don't even need the complicated machinery to do it. People can just take their wallets and build whatever complicated transaction graphs they want and move the P under the cup as complicatedly as they want to. It's built in because Mimblewimble makes it all opaque. You can't see how much money is going in or out, right? So you can have a transaction with coins coming in, coins going out. You have no idea which money is where, right? And the criticism with linkability is, oh, if you send me one transaction, then I can see that there was one transaction and I can chase its chain back. Well, that's true, okay? But if you want to send it to yourself at another address and split it and send it to other people and build these complicated graphs where it's all interlinked, and you can't chase the transaction chain back, it's already there. It's already a feature. It's cheap and it's easy. You can obscure your transaction graph as much as you want to, and it doesn't. And we didn't have to build any complicated machinery on it. The criticism here seems to be You didn't make your stuff as complicated as ours because your simple solution just gives people all of the power out of the box.
If he says it, I believe it. So let's take him at his words. Speak up, speak often, and don't worry about those that at this point, actually, you know, Ron, it should say who at this point cannot understand, as they can never unhear what we tell them.
And I got to tell you, that's a funny criticism. It's a really funny criticism, right? Mimblewimble is the best there is, and I would argue, but maybe it's a failure of imagination. I think it's the best that can be done in terms of making quantities of coins and transactions totally opaque. There's nothing else that does that. And that is the highest level you can drive fungibility to, while still having transactions that people are cryptographically checking before committing to the blockchain. And
so,
none of those criticisms touches any of that. Instead, it's, oh, if you use it in a simple way, then you can trace the transactions on the ledger. You mean like you can with the block explorer in just about any chain? And assuming a simple usage pattern, because all of the complicated shell games that they play, you can do in Epic if you want to.
Max, do you have any opinion on this after, because you've been knee deep in it, and it just is like, what did you call it, a mushroom, Max?
Oh yeah, that meme that we saw floating around, the mushroom vigilante research team, because they keep you in the dark and feed you shit.
Here's what just boggles my mind. It's like, what the hell are they so afraid of, to actually have a conversation with people who know what they're talking about versus just a lowly old subscriber like me? You know, you tell me TCV to do my work, and I go do my work. I do my research. I even do better than that. I get experts to come on, to agree to come on and have a conversation with us.
Now, hang on a second. If you had spent 5 years and decades of developer time building a huge, complicated machinery, and someone came along with a simple, easy to examine solution that made it obsolete, how would you feel? What would your reaction be? This isn't that hard to understand.
A great Upton Sinclair quote from about 100 years ago that says, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something if his livelihood depends on his not understanding it." And so we're dealing with people that have significant vested interests, not just financially, but emotionally, or in terms of other investments they've made or commitments that they've made. And so it's fortunate for us that the facts are as they are, and all that we need people to do is not believe us on anything, but just simply be receptive to appreciating those facts. And I think that if we are in the critical thinking education business and teaching people to think for themselves, then we would identify this as a logical fallacy and a rhetorical technique that weak people use. Appeal to authority. Trust me, I'm the expert. Turn off your brain. Well, in this case, this deep dive helps to reveal some of the shortcomings in that, because while the rest of the market was melting down, Epic keeps chugging along despite.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about this Monero tattooed pirate who you know gets on the rooftop with his banhammer and screams "Epic trash, shitcoin."
It's quite odd that they're taking this stance. There's some inconsistency there that I don't think we understand yet. Hopefully in the fullness of time, we'll discover that. But just before we touch on any other points, I wanted to build on what Todd was saying, which is that I did a deep dive the other day, maxfreeman4.substack.com. If you want to read it, it's a mining oriented deep dive into privacy coins, specifically R, Pirate Chain, XMR, Monero, Epic, and Zcash. And so these are...
Just lost you. All right, Todd. So we can continue till he comes in. You've seen enough. You've seen what they've said. I mean, legitimately, seriously, it's like what the fuck problem do they have? I mean, do you really think it's just that simple, that it's just they are so vested in Monero? Or do you think
like being vested in things changes people's ability to think critically, right? And Max's quote speaks to that. You know, if you're committed to, you know, if you're committed to something and you're not very open, then you're just going to seize on whatever random arguments you can and splatter them around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you as a tech developer, one thing that I found interesting in speaking with Max on why Mimblewimble, can you please unpack for us what Mimblewimble provides you as a technician who's building this project, this blockchain?
Sure.
Because
it's a magic atomic hammer to smash the fungibility problem.
Talk to us about it. Educate us, please.
So let's talk about how transactions are posted to a blockchain. Okay.
How what?
How transactions are posted to a blockchain.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So someone's transferring money from A to B. This is not smart contracts. This is just simple coins, right?
Okay.
Some set of coins go into the transaction, and some set of coins go out of the transaction.
All right.
Right. They come from a set of addresses and they go to a set of addresses. In Bitcoin, this is all very transparent. First generation coin, right? The transaction format just has, here are the addresses and the number of coins that go in, and here are the addresses and the number of coins that go out. And there's a signature to authorize the transfer, and that's it. It's a simple ledger. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What Mimblewimble does is it says, I have these inputs. You can't see what they are, but I have them. They're from a previous transaction. Okay. So you know from the chain that they have validity because they were a previously authorized transaction. It all starts with the creation of the coins and mining, and that part is transparent. So at the beginning of the web of transactions, you see the individual coins going in from mining.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, every transfer after that is opaque. You say, I have this, you know, this quantity of coin. You can't see what it is, but you know I had it because of the chain that goes back to the original creation of the coin. So these coins are going in. You can't see what they are, but I have them because you can look at these points on the ledger to see that I own them. And here's my signature proving that I have authority to transfer them. And here are the outputs. And you can't see how many coins are in the outputs either. Okay. But here's a cryptographic proof that proves mathematically that whatever these quantities are, and you can't see what they are, but here's a proof that the number of coins coming out of this transaction is equal to the number of coins going into the transaction. And because of that, you can have a public ledger with transfers, with all of the beauty of cryptocurrencies, without anyone being able to see the quantities.
Okay, but you're saying the quantities, but you've also used the word I've in there. So you can see that I have these. So isn't
I being the person who's signing the transaction, the owner.
Okay, so but nobody can tell that it's you and me.
No,
say that you're sending them to me. So it is still
a transaction gets submitted to the network with a signature. If the signature matches, it's authorized. There are no names here.
Okay. So
and there are no addresses. Sorry, Todd.
Yeah.
There are no addresses either. That is the singular. Like once you reveal that was misstated, the rest of it kind of falls apart. There are no addresses in Mimblewimble. And so the entire Ivan Bogatti hit piece, which relies on a chain of logic about addresses, falls apart. And what you have is a meaningless word soup, a clickbait headline in essence.
Well, that translates into a bot auto posting. Let us remember what Mr. Mix X has to say about Mimblewimble. Mimblewimble is nowhere near as fungible as Monero and R. So, Todd Lewis, talk to us. You mentioned the word fungibility. So Talk about that auto post, because that's what shuts everything down in that chat.
Hold on, Todd. Before you talk about that, 90% of Zcash transactions are fully transparent. So it's not even really a privacy coin. It's like a 10% privacy coin. Of those, CipherTrace has publicly revealed that they can trace over 99%. So even if you've got this fancy super duper privacy for that one part of it, overall, there's such a small number of people using it that it's really not strong privacy overall. Now with Monero, you've got more users, but the problem that I see with Monero is that you're leaving the, if you really care about making sure that your transactional activity is not de-anonymized for whatever reason, then you're leaving those permanent footprints not in the sand that gets washed away like Mimblewimble, but you're leaving them in cement. 10 years from now, a quantum computer might give you grief. That's not going to happen in Mimblewimble because the data is simply not there. And so if we all agree in privacy circles that a greater anonymity set is better, then the facts are that the epic anonymity set as currently configured is about 1,000, which is 2 orders of magnitude beyond Monero, which is at 11. Even if they go to Triptych, which takes it to 128, we're still already at 1,000. And so any kind of claim that it's less private doesn't make sense. And as far as less fungible, Monero is overwhelmingly bought through centralized exchanges that who knows what type of data they're attaching with travel rules and integrated surveillance and stuff like that. Hell, during this market crunch, Binance and a lot of places were so upside down that they had to pause withdrawals, whereas Epic is completely fungible and nobody had any interruption in service. Even when the main DEX, VTEX, was down, there was a lively, and still is to this day, P2P OTC trading market. And so I think all of these claims that are being made are just really baseless. And so Epic, seeing as that it's not trying to be a pure privacy coin only, such as Pirate Chain or Monero or Zcash, we're trying to be a simply better version of Bitcoin that is within reach of everyone. The system can do 1.4 million transactions a day currently, and we will reach that usage level. And when we do, you're hiding in a much, much bigger pool than in these other networks that simply cannot scale. When Epic has BTC level transactional usage, it will be about a 25 to maybe 50 gigabyte chain file versus over 300 gigs for BTC. In Monero, that would be well into the terabytes. So Epic has what it takes to scale and really run a lot of transactions through there, which ultimately is a stronger overall form of privacy.
Not only that saves newbies like me and users like you guys, that saves us a tremendous amount of money. Why don't you explain that? We went through the process of analyzing those 1.4 million transactions, what it would cost with Epic versus Bitcoin.
But dude, it's not just saving the hard drive space, which is nice. I'll grant you. Right?
Okay.
Saving the hard drive space is one small example of the vast universe of reasons of why you should almost always prefer the simple solution over the complicated solution.
Okay.
Right. Mimblewimble is a simple, effective, and absolute means of protecting the details of the transactions. And so you don't have the 1,000 problems that come from the huge complicated machinery, including the performance overhead, the storage, the huge code footprint and scope for bugs, the huge maintenance load, the possibility of design mistakes, which goes up dramatically. It goes up exponentially as you make your design more complicated. When you have 10 different components working together in a technical design, you don't, compared to having one component, the number of possible bugs doesn't go up by 10, it goes up by 100. because you don't only have the individual components, you have all the ways that they interact with each other. It's exponential, right? And so just time after time after time, all over the place. And Max just mentioned a really good one where chain size is a great example of it. Building these huge, complicated machineries to try to synthesize privacy through willpower instead of through engineering, it's just the wrong choice. When you have a good, clean, simple solution, use it. And that's what Mimblewimble is. And none of the criticisms of Mimblewimble have ever even tried to claim that that Mimblewimble doesn't work. That you can somehow discover the quantities going in or the quantities going out of a transaction.
Hey, Todd Lewis, I think I know the answer to this. Would you be open to actually having that exchange or debate with Mr. X and Raphael, or both together? Would you be open to that? Because I'm happy to try again to extend the invitation, because everything that you have shared thus far, it is mind-boggling to me why they keep hiding behind these papers that have been refuted.
I'm happy to talk about this stuff with anybody. Maybe I'll learn something from them.
Very good. Very good. Amen.
But really, we didn't choose Mimblewimble for its excellent privacy features. We came about it really from a scalability angle, because you need to be able to, store enough data for the entire world's financial system on this type of ledger, and Mimblewimble is really the only way that you can do that. What I'm saying is that BTC is 300 something gigs and growing at 30 a year. And when Epic has that level of transactional volume, it'll save the planet $4 to $29 million a day in unnecessary fees with the same assurance level. It's faster and cheaper. And then at that point, we'll have 25 to 50 gigs on our chain versus 300 there. And we'll see how we scale out from there. But all I'm promising is that when we do the same as the other guys, it will be this big. And further than that, we don't need to speculate just yet, because we got to get to BTC level usage first.
Todd Lewis, I have heard you speak internally about Mimblewimble ++. That might be some new news for people to understand or to appreciate.
Todd, do you want the knockout punch on Mimblewimble? Can I run it past you?
Yes.
Okay, it goes like this. Okay, all the other privacy coins, do you have a core privacy technology which is better than Mimblewimble's? And the answer is no, they do not. That's part one. Okay. Part two is all the other stuff you wrap around to obscure transactions. Is there any of that stuff that doesn't work out of the box with no extra work needed on Mimblewimble coins? And the answer is almost entirely not.
Okay, Max Freeman, I know that you took a ton of time last week to address Epic being a privacy coin. Is it a privacy coin? You did a deep dive into proof of work, mineable privacy coins last week, and I really appreciated the read. It was a 50-page read. I know that people can find it here at Max Freeman, substack.com. And if you go there, there's
Freeman 4.
I'm sorry, Max Freeman 4. You can read it right up here. So if you guys want to write this down, Max Freeman, the number 4.substack.com. And when you get there, currently there are 4 papers he wrote. This one that is Epic a privacy. First of all, I really suggest people go to the DNA of Bitcoin. That is a fascinating read. And by the way, that is a book that is in the process of being final edited and written, and it is going to be a tabletop piece by Max Freeman. I mean, a literal big ass, huge, you're going to put it on your tabletop, and it is going to be an amazing book. So if you want to get a little sneak peek into that, Michael Saylor, go ahead, because you're going to be in it. Okay. But this is Epic a privacy coin. People can click on that right there and go through your whole 50-page tome. But I want to get to one portion because there are a lot of R holders who are going to watch this. I am one of them. I love being a pirate. I have a special event that I'm working on that's going to be the Gasparilla Parade next year, January 29th in Tampa, Florida, to where I want to organize a privacy coin conference around Gasparilla. And I want just a boatload, literal boatload, shipload of pirates to join me, and let's storm Tampa Bay together in a literal ship. We can do that. So you did a deep dive on pirate, and I know a little something other people don't know. It's going to be really good for you to be a R holder because you like R, right, Max?
Yeah, absolutely. And since you spilled the beans, I guess we can just roll with it. I'm pulling up the PowerPoint that we haven't released yet, but after we get off here, I'll see if we can't get that out today. Before we get into the deep dive of what we find attractive about our, first and foremost, the individual people, I've met a number of people from the project at the Bitcoin 2021 and the unfortunately named Shitcoin 2021 conference, and the Venn diagram of what they are all about, and things that we believe is more like a circle in terms of the compatibility. And so we found a lot to like there and came away asking ourselves, how can we, even if maybe in some investors' eyes, oh, they're just competitors for that same privacy coin market segment. No, we don't think of it that way. We think that there's a lot of opportunity as different tools for different jobs to help each other. And so we've come up with a package of benefits and things that we're going to do to try and build solid relationships there. So in no particular order, we've allocated 10,000 ECR tokens as an air grab for our holders. So if you have your keys, you'll be able to unlock your pro rata share of that 10,000 amount. However many people claim it, it'll just be split among them. So even if you're not a huge R holder, it's kind of like the scale is tilted a little bit for the minnows rather than the whales as far as how we structured it. So it's like a welcome gift or an appetizer in a nice restaurant for the first time. So that's something that is in the works, is the ECR air grab for R holders. The other thing is that we've added R to the coverage list for the atomic swap capabilities of what we're calling EDEX Atomic. So that means you'll be able to go peer-to-peer from R to Epic without a middleman, without anyone in the middle, and without having to trust anyone. That's the key feature there. With atomic swaps, both sides get their coins or nobody gets their coins. And it's very efficient because there's nobody in the middle. So we've already done the research into that to know that we can do it. We're adding support for R to our Epicentric mobile wallet. So you'll be able to see your balances and see how much R you have, plus how much Epic you have in the Epicentric mobile wallet. We've also decided to allocate $5,000 in the form of EUSD under a matching grant program. I know there's been some concern about whether Pirate would sustain an independent audit, and I think they would, and we're willing to throw down a more symbolic gesture than anything else, because these things can get expensive, but we passed the cup, and we'll help get them achieved, or get that achieved for them. And we've actually got some resources that we're investing in that might be able to help there. So if we can be useful, we'd like to. We've also set aside 10,000 ECR tokens in a grant to the BPSAA. And then the final piece is EDEX order book, which is there will be an R trading pair against EUSD. EUSD is our version of Tether or Make or Die. It's a stable coin where one EUSD is just redeemable for $1 worth of Epic on demand. So it's a very safe and scalable design in that way. And so that's really just the start. As a fellow community project, we'd like to kind of intermingle, and we know a lot of people in our camp are also in theirs and vice versa. And so crypto is tribal, as tribal, people are tribal, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together to mutual benefit, even if in some eyes we're going after the same market as a quote privacy coin. So with that as the backdrop, the specific things that we found appealing about are that they took the Zcash approach to privacy, which is simply better than the Monero approach to privacy. That's not saying that Monero's is bad, just if you take Zcash, ZK snarks, and solve the one key design flaw, maybe it's a feature rather than a bug in their eyes, but 90% of Zcash transactions are transparent, and that weakens the privacy of the ones that are supposed to be private. And so R made the smart choice to enforce always on privacy from Zcash, which is excellent, A plus. But coming from Zcash, they had a weakness in the chain, which was a reliance on Equihash, which is the same proof of work algorithm that Zcash uses. And as we discovered in the mining analysis, there are 4 separate pools within Zcash that each have enough hash power to successfully 51% attack the entire R network. And so what they did to mitigate that is integrate something called delayed proof of work, or DPoW, from another innovative network called Komodo. And so essentially that solves for that. And so, yeah, we like it. We're fans. And there's also another one that I want to give a shout out to that's really under the radar, but it shouldn't be, because they're doing groundbreaking work. And that's a project called Firo, F-I-R-O, formerly known as Zcoin. And they brought out some pioneering work called Lelantis that if you're smart enough to understand the difference between a ZK snark and a ZK stark, which only one of us on this call is, and it's not you or me, Uncle V, then hearing the details on Lelantis makes your antennae perk up, but it's all way over my head. And so essentially you've got 2 flavors of Lelantis out there in the wild. One that is highly suspect in a number of ways, and I'll leave it there, with a network that needs not be named. And then a pure open source community effort that's run by high integrity people. And that's a shout out to Ruben, the project steward over there, who mentioned that he'd be willing to come on and talk you through this stuff as well. So he can also be a great educational resource for the audience. So yeah, I'm not sure what I left off, but
I just want to, because I'm reading this, it kind of is everything we've been talking about today. It looks like you hit it head on in your article. But I heard Mimblewimble was broken. I presume that, that is a link, so people could go there and read that. So look, guys, where you have Mix X saying, read the comments, check the pinned comment, which there's no pinned comment, guys. I mean, there's no freaking pinned comment. So stop with that. I checked again this morning. But I heard Mimblewimble was broken. So that's coming from you, Mix X. So actually not factual inaccuracy of breaking Mimblewimble's privacy model. So that's what I like about you, Max. You're not a wussy. You fight back, and you do it with facts. And facts are inconvenient for those people who are fully invested in one tribe. But I heard you can't do atomic swaps. Also not the case. MWC swaps are running in production on the same code base. Well, Mimble isn't nearly as private or as fungible as Monero. Oh, really? What percentage of XMR transactions are executed through centralized exchanges? and carry travel rule information. So there's another link for you guys to do your own work, Raphael. Epic is acquired 100% by mining or via P2P DEX. It is not on any centralized platform at all. Todd, what say you to all of this?
Yeah, so I agree that, you know, the Zcash approach is definitely a very strong number 2, right? And I do think ARM made a good choice going with that over Monero's contraption that they have. But, you know, the fact remains the ZK Stark paper is 80 pages long.
Going like, wow, you know, going like that. And then you have Indiana Jones just look at him and go, do you remember that? Is that what we're talking about here?
That is basically what Mimblewimble does to the other algorithms, right?
Okay.
So, and a lot of the criticism of Mimblewimble is you don't have cool nunchuck techniques, right? Right. In the presence of a gun, a lot of it's really quite unnecessary, gentlemen, or you get it out of the box. You don't have to build big, complicated machineries. People can just do it themselves, right? So it's a simple set of questions. Is your fundamental privacy algorithm as simple and effective as Mimblewimble? The answer is no, right?
The answer is no for Monero? The answer is
definitely no for Monero. And for Zcash, I have a lot of respect for ZK Stark. I think it's impressive what they did, but it's vastly more complicated. And so even if it's perfect, it's still not as good as Mimblewimble. Mimblewimble is vastly simpler and gives you complete privacy.
Well, what basis does MixX have for continuing to hammer and suppress the benefits of Mimblewimble or the benefits of Epic Cash and reveal?
Charitable, he probably just doesn't understand, right? When you cut through the complexity and you find a simpler solution, it can be easy to think that the more complicated solution is better because the diagram is fancier, right? But that doesn't make it a good engineering choice.
Okay, so your choice was based upon good engineering, not nunchucks. And
we prefer the gun. What probably doesn't appreciate is that all of the things that you need fancy machinery to do in Monero, users can just do out of the box on Epic with Mimblewimble.
Max, do you have anything to add? That seems pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make 11 size rings, go ahead. There's nothing preventing you. If you want to upgrade that to 128 size rings or take it to a 64,000 ring through something like an Aqua Menti type of accumulator, have at it. Epic is so flexible thanks to the simplicity of Mimblewimble that it's perhaps just a failure of imagination and creativity to get your head around the scope of the possibilities. I mean, we've been at it for years and have barely begun to unpack, scratch the surface of the potential that we know that's there. So we're really happy to be able to clear the air here on some of these misconceptions. And another point, just I mean, there's already 2 50 cal slugs in the zombie's head, but let me go pop a 22 in there just for good times. Which is that the complexity of the moon math in systems such as Zcash and by derivation, therefore pirate chain, is that there was a bug that was undiscovered for, I think it was about 2 years within the Zcash code that despite audit and peer review and open source and all that good stuff, there just weren't enough smart people in the world that could understand where the bug was, and luckily it didn't get exploited. But can you imagine if there's only a handful of people that are smart enough to figure out that anything happened, and it's just silently undetected for years? I think we should turn it around and say that anybody that's brandishing fancy nunchucks and trying to mesmerize you needs to justify their existence in terms of additional benefits versus Mimblewimble. And if your additional complexity can't provably deliver things that Mimblewimble can't, then you kind of need to just go sit in the corner and figure out what next to do with your life, because we got this covered.
You're probably saying this because you're the founder, and that means you're really rich on the backs of all of us, because that's what MixX says. I want to just read this. Epic Cash is a shitty Mimblewimble clone with a minor dev tax to make its founders rich. Mimblewimble itself is a shitty privacy protocol when compared to Monero, Wownero, and Pirate Chain's far more advanced private technologies. There's no need to waste our time on Uncle Vigilante show when he's already proven himself to use flawed arguments and fallacies while falsely attacking us without even reading nor comprehending our in-depth research and work. There's only 50 freaking pages that Max wrote dealing with this MixX, and I have Todd, the lead developer for Epic, on the line. We invited you to come on the show, but what do? You shut it down. You go junior high. It's like almost as immature punch back to where you're throwing out all of these ad homs, and usually when you debate, ad homs is the first clue that people just have nothing better than banana poo-poo as their defense. So, Max, I want you to defend yourself. Did this Mimblewimble clone with a minor dev tax make you rich?
Not yet.
What the hell is he talking about here?
Well, I mean,
there's a minor tax in Epic that takes part of the mining reward and puts it in the development fund, and funds ongoing development. I've never gotten any of that money. Max has never gotten any of that money. It's designed to support the community and continuing Epic development so that the chain can have a nice long lifetime of maintenance and further development.
To me, that seems, as a business executive myself, that seems like a really wise decision, because what I am seeing from other coins, other projects, is they're continuously asking for support from their communities. And I get that too. That's cool. But if they want to be able to go to a conference or something, they're asking for support. And it just seems to me that you guys in your development of this project have been smart business people and comprehended the fact that if you're going to grow, if there's going to be adoption, you're going to have to make some investments in that. So you built in that fund up front to be able to not have to go to the community, but to be able to just fund things organically that need to be funded when they need to be funded. So to me, that's checking a box that takes you way out of shitcoin V.
And I think it's very fair to criticize the minor tax if you don't like it, but no one's getting rich off of it. And we've always been transparent about it. It's in the white paper, it's in the code. We couldn't be more transparent about what it is and how it works.
So what is the percentage of minor? Just educate us all on that. What is the minor? To me, I don't know shit. So
yeah, I'll handle that one, Todd. Currently, and when I was trying to be charitable and respectful, but when you originally asked me what might be going on here, I was going to speculate that if you have a loosey-goosey relationship with facts and the truth, then up is down and left is right, and your gender is whatever you want, and the chocolate ration has been increased from 30 grams to 20 grams, and we've always been at war with East Asia. So if we're doing the sophistry and casuistry thing, then that's a different field of battle than if we're talking about facts. But again, as in other cases here, the facts are in our favor, and excuse me, they are as follows. Number one, you can't have something from nothing. It takes resources to generate resources, and that's usually expressed as it takes money to make money. In this case, it's human labor and opportunity costs. There's 151 people on our registrar of contributors who are now going to be receiving ECR tokens for their contribution, again, in a fully transparent on-chain governance and setting new standards for this type of thing. So we had to find a way that we could have no ICO, no pre-mine, no corporation, and no VCs to remain compatible with securities legislation in especially the United States, and not rely on donations. We are very proud of the fair launch that the new standard, the new bar for fair launches that we set, where we had a test net up for months in advance. We even pushed the mainnet back by 2 months so that people who had Mac and Windows could mine, not just the Linux heads, and having 3 different algorithms so that people with CPU, GPU, and ASICs can mine. And so when the network started out, it was 16 coins per block, and 8% of those went to this reservoir, and then it goes down to 7, and we're currently in the 6th era, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 7 years from now, by the time we hit the singularity, which is when the supply matches BTC at 20.4 million coins, there will be no tax at all. And really, I don't even think tax is an appropriate word for it. We call it a minor contribution because nobody's forcing people to mine these coins in the first place. And overwhelmingly, our community has been vocal about how appreciative they are that we have this built-in funding source that avoided us to not have problems such as XRP and Library and Telegram and Block One. I mean, if you are not, regulation is such an important thing to not mess around with, but because the powers that be, they have the men with the guns behind them, and they're not afraid to use them. And so one of our central design.
Max, it's simpler than that. Epic has a mining tax. All right. If people don't like it, it's fine. Don't use Epic. Say the founders are using it to make themselves rich. It's just not true. It's just not true. Right. And then we get to the real.
It's a good soundbite, NixX. It's a good soundbite that allows you to be able to shut down conversation in your chat. And that is at the expense of your subscribers. So shame on you.
But then we get to the real doozy. Mimblewimble is a shitty privacy protocol compared to Monero, Wildero, and Pirate Chain's far more advanced technologies. That one's just funny. That one's just funny. Now, I'll be charitable and assume that he doesn't really know the cryptography. All right. But
I don't know if it's a he.
But it's just funny. No one's ever alleged that or had any arguments that the core privacy feature of Mimblewimble is anything but fantastic. It's vastly simpler than, goodness knows, Monero, but even Zcash and Archain, and all of the convoluted obfuscation techniques they layer on top. You get out of the box just by having Mimblewimble. You don't need special chain support to do advanced transaction hiding. It works out of the box. And so that one's not only wrong, it's the complete opposite of the truth.
Which is
diametrical opposite.
Which is mind-numbing. And I think
he doesn't appreciate that when you have a gun, your nunchuck technique is just not that important.
I guess what I find so hypocritical is the fact that, the TCV subscribers are paying good money to have research done and are also not just encouraged, but they are admonished if they don't do their own work, read their work. Now, but when you do, and if you come back with anything that challenges their narrative, then they shift into ad hom mode and they start talking about Epic Cash as Epic Trash ad hom. shitty Mimblewimble clone, making its founders rich without merit, shitty privacy protocol, flawed arguments and fallacy. I mean, it's just one after another. It's almost too rich in this one post of MixX that just tells me what I'm dealing with here. You have a group that is so married to, or they're so biased towards. I don't know what the there is as far as why, but all I know is, to me, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'll continue to say that. You can't, challenge people to do their own work and then go, no, I don't hear you. I don't hear you, when they come back and say, hey, there's an alternative point of view. Would love to explore that. Would love to explore it with you. Maybe we'll all learn something together. Are you open to coming on the show? I'd love to be able to have the lead developer of Epic Cash on with you and whomever else that you deem appropriate, Mr. X. We'll go with Mr. right now. But no, instead what I get is no, shitcoin, shitty Mimblewimble, flawed arguments, waste of our time, all of this. That is amateur hour. So I'm going to ask again, going to invite you again, Mr. X and Raphael, will you come on the show and have an engaged debate? Or are you going to continue with the, no. If you are, that's fine. I'm over it. Said my piece. I've had the experts on. We've had a debate with you today using your own words. Now, the next move is yours. I'm done. I'm sure this will probably likely, result in me being banned because, being an anarchist is banning those who disagree with you. I hope not. It's really up to you. I really try to stay out of there. Only time I respond in there now is when you come have a baseless punch in the nose against me. And, I'm not a wussy, so I will pose back. But guys, just stop with this nonsense. Either step up and let's all learn something together, or STFU. All right? With that, guys, I want to thank you for this interview. I want to thank you for taking a couple of hours. Todd and Max. I think this was great. I think we unpacked a lot. And I encourage anybody out there who is watching this, if you have additional questions, reach out to me. All of my contact information is below. Hey, Raphael, I think you know how to reach me. Mr. X, I know you know how to reach me. Anybody else? All my contact information is below. I'll have anybody on to talk about anything productive. Okay. But, I think the jury of public opinion is going to be the one who decides who's really doing their work and who's shutting conversations down. And guess what? I don't charge $700 to shut conversations down. You do. Any last words, Todd, Max?
Mimblewimble for the win.
Mimblewimble for the win. That's two. That you got have the second vote. Mimblewimble has the second vote. Max?
Just, you ain't seen nothing yet. Mimblewimble plus will really. What we have here is the foundation where.
What's Mimblewimble plus? I thought I had a great wrap up.
It's the next interview.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a teaser for the next interview.
Okay, and, next Sunday we're going to talk Mimblewimble plus, unless the folks from the Crypto Vigilante actually decide to man up and come on and have an engaged conversation. Otherwise, we'll talk about the next evolution. But Mimblewimble plus. I like the plus part. I know a little something about it internally because I have some inside baseball, and it's one of those things that only the ignorant are going to continue to go. The others are going to give Epic Cash really strong consideration for its merits. and they're going to go do their own work. Or you can just be told what to think. You know, you can lead a person to the Uncle Vigilante channel, but you can't make them think. But, you know, if you're watching this at this point in time in the show, you're a thinker. You're a thinker, and we love you. Okay. Todd, thank you. Max, thank you,
man.
guys. I really appreciate you. With that, we're out. Cheers.
Talk to you guys soon.
Greetings. Greetings. Used to be named Uncle Odd, but now I'm known as Uncle Vigilante. And as you can see by the fact I'm wearing a gold chain with a Bitcoin on it, I'm kind of a big deal. Yeah, I'm a big deal. But there is one thing that my 43 attorneys that I just hired told me that I needed to say, which is a disclaimer. Don't take any of my advice. Don't take anything that I say on this show or any of my guests as sage counsel. Why? Why? Because I don't know shit.